Hey guys, my name is Moyo Ayamuro, and today I'll be teaching you how to retouch with dodging and burning and a little bit of frequency separation. Right now I'm in caption 1 and I want to raw process my image in caption 1. Now this image has not been white balanced, so I need to white balance the image at first. Then after white balancing the image, then we can go to other stuff. Now to white balance, I can just pick on my eyedropper tool here, then click on the area where we have like gray, just like gray, and click on it. It's going to automatically like balance the image. So I'm trying to work with my eye dynamic range now, and what I'm going to do now is what I do most times is to bring down my highlights, so that way I can regain back the details in my highlights. I'm not losing details in my highlights. Bring out my shadows a little bit more. That way I can regain the details in the shadows a little bit, not too much. Then put in a little bit of white and black. Then go to my exposure, maybe bring it down a little bit. Go to my levels. Now, what you have to do here is just follow the histogram here. Now you draw this point. Before you do that, you have to go to your exposure one in here. So click on it. That way you can see where you have areas overexposed or underexposed. So what I'm trying to do here now is to make this picture just balanced, like well balanced when it comes to contrast, like when it comes to shadows and highlights. I just draw this point to the point where this histogram starts from and stop at that point. Then I will draw this white to the point where the white starts from, and we are good in capture one. So after this, I will go into Photoshop and we can continue in Photoshop. I think we can add a little bit of contrast just to give it more edge, a little bit of contrast. Then add a little bit of saturation, a little bit, just a little bit of saturation, and let's save it for Photoshop. So I love to save at 1000 resolution, and you pick your folder here. I'm putting it here, and the picture profile should be sRGB. If you want to work with Adobe RGB, there's no problem with that. You can just change it to Adobe RGB. Then when you're done with all your editing, then you can change it to sRGB, so that because sRGB is the default picture profile for all websites. And if you save it as Adobe RGB, if you want to post it on Instagram, Facebook, or anywhere, it might get a little bit desaturated, which you don't want. So I'll export it right now, and voila. So right now I'm in the magical world of Photoshop, and what I do first before I start anything at all in my retouching is to remove blemishes. So the best way to remove blemishes is separating the colors from the texture. So that way you don't move colors when using clone stamp tool or whatever tool you use to remove your blemishes. You move only the textures. Now the best way to do that is to create a frequency separation. I have my actions here already. I have the actions here already that I just use, and I'll just drop the actions there. So just play the action. Now this is very simple. You pick, when you want to pick your blur for your frequency separation, you pick the blur based on the resolution of the image and the quality of the image. So right here, I think 12 will be fine, and I'll press OK. Let the frequency separation do the action do its work. Then right now, what we do is that we go to our texture layer, which is our high frequency, and start to remove blemishes. So I love to use the clone stamp tool. Some people love using the nail brush. I love to use the clone stamp tool and just pick. Now, if you're using a tab, as I'm using a tab, you can actually use pen pressure. So the more you press, the more it shows. The lesser you press, the lesser it shows. So I'll just pick and paint right here. Just remove these lines right here. Remove it. I'm not tampering with my colors. I'm only working on my textures. Remove the blemishes. She does not have too much blemishes. She has a good skin, so we don't really have to do much when it comes to the blemishes part. Just have to just remove the basic blemishes here so that it's not that obvious. So I'm done removing blemishes. So after I remove blemishes, what I do next is to use dodging and burning. Now, what is the concept behind dodging and burning when it comes to retouching, or when it comes to using it to retouch? We have two types of dodging and burning. We have the one where you have to use it to contour, and we have the one where you use to retouch. Now, when you want to retouch with dodging and burning, what you should have in mind is to create a smooth variation between the midtones, the highlights, and the shadows. So that is the basic concept behind using dodging and burning to retouch. Now I'm going to do this manually, like create the layers of the dodging and burning manually, because I don't know if most of you know about how to use dodging and burning to retouch. So I'll just create the layers manually and show you guys how to dodge and burn. So what I do before we go to that, what I'm going to do is that so that we can have a particular layer beside there where we can see what we are doing, I'll go to Windows, Arrange, then open New Windows, then go to Windows again, Arrange, then go to Tool of Vertical. So that way we have another one here where we can use it as a reference to see what we are doing, if we are doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing, because people won't see the image zoomed in, people will see it zoomed out. So we have to work zoomed out and zoomed in. So as we are working with it zoomed in, we use the zoomed out one to see what we are doing, if we are doing it right or wrong. So I'll just close this a little bit so that we can have enough space to work beside here, so that we can just be looking at this on one side and work with this. Now I'll create the layers manually. So what you want to do is to create curves layer. You can just press Ctrl J to duplicate the curves layer. Now you can name this. Let's name this dodge. Sorry about that. Let's name this burn. Now what you have to do here now is very simple, because we are trying to burn. Instead of us, normally there are different ways to burn actually. You can actually just create a layer, change the blending mode, then start to paint, it will burn. You can use curves, then draw the lines down, then do whatever you want to, and you can actually use blending modes directly. Even after creating curves, you can change your blending modes to multiply and to do the same thing actually. But here we won't do that. All we just have to do is just draw the line in the curves down to this point, this particular point, and stop a little bit around that area. So I'll fill in the mask with black, then this, go to the curves, then draw this up to this point, then fill in the mask with black. Ctrl G, regroup. That way we have a clean tab. So we can just name this dodge and burn. Let's just name it D and B. Sorry about that. So dodge and burn. So the next thing we do is that, when we are dodging and burning, when we see it as black and white, sometimes you tend not to see the actual variations of the brightness, because when you work with colors, you can actually see the brightness. It's when you work with black and white that you are enabled to see the brightness, the midtones, and the highlights. The brightness, the darkness, and the midtones better. So what we do now is that we create a check layer here. So what I do is that I go to open a new layer, then I'll go to gradient map, then opening the gradient map, I'll go to basic, then I'll just use the inverted one, which is like, it's meant to be black and white. So the bright areas in real life, or if you remove the gradient map, is actually the dark area here, because we've inverted it. Meanwhile, the dark areas are the bright areas if we remove the gradient map. So to see it better, we create a levels layer on top of the gradient map. Then draw the midtones down. That way we can see it better. You can just take it to the point where you can see the variations better. Then close it, then group. We name this check layer. So that's our check layer. We can just group this all together. That way we can see better and just make our tab clean. Now, next thing we want to do here now is to start dodging and burning. So most times we start with dodging. You don't start with burn, you start with dodging. So I'll just go to my brush here. I'm using a pen. I'm using Wion H640p. So it has up to like 8,192 pressure sensitivity if I guess right. So what I'm going to do here now is that because in my my software, my driver app, I've actually reduced the amount of pressure that my pen does. So when I press a little bit, it does not show that much. So that way it gives me the opportunity to start from a small variation to higher variation. So I don't have to, like, using a brush naturally, just putting it on, just pressing it, you get just like a smooth variation. But with pressure sensitivity, you can just keep on painting little by little, little by little, little by little, till you get your desired result. You understand? Till you get to the point where you feel like, okay, this is right, this is okay. So I'm going to use my pen. My pen has pressure sensitivity, so I'll just use the pressure sensitivity to do this. So I'll go to my dodge and let's start with the dodging. So as I'm doing it, I'll be looking at this area to see what I'm doing, if I'm doing it right or wrong. And sometimes we might have to off the check layer to see if it's actually nice or bad, because it's good to actually see it color too, so that you can see if what you're doing is wrong or right. So let's get straight to the word. Let's get straight to using dodging and burning. So I'll just paint a little bit here so you guys can see what I'm trying to say about. Don't forget, your opacity should be in 100 and your flow levels. And bring it down a little bit so that I can see more of where you want to work on. And let's continue with the dodging and burning. Don't forget, the bright areas are meant to be dodged because we've inverted the black and white. Why the black areas are meant to be burnt. So that's what I'm doing right here. Trying to dodge those areas. And just zoom in. This is our check layer. This is our check layer here. You can just check that later. And before you know, we are done with this. So I just keep on dodging. You guys can notice very well. You see that we're already having a smooth variation already right here. So let's off the check layer and see before and after, before, after, before, after. Check right here and see before, after. So we can just bring back our check layer and continue with what we are doing. Before, after. Nice. Let's get back to dodging and burning. So let's just check again. Before, after, before, after, before, after. So let's go back and continue with what we're doing. Sometimes you have to zoom out to see, like I said before, see some errors, because when you zoom in, you tend to do too much because you see too much. So you tend to do too much. So you want to zoom it out a little bit once in a while and see if there's anything you have to correct. So what we're going to do now is go to frequency separation. I have my shortcut on my tab here, but what I'm going to do is to tell you guys what to press. So what this does is that it creates a new layer on top of all the layers that we have under. So all you have to do is just press Ctrl Alt Shift E. Ctrl Alt Shift E. It's going to create a new stamp layer on top of that layer. So what I want to do now, before I get to the next step, is try and fix the background, because the background looks a little bit clumsy and it has a little bit of waves, and I'm going to like smoothen the background. But before I do that, I'll resize this image for Instagram. So which is Instagram is 4:5. So all I just have to do is just change this pixel. I'll change my pixel over for 4 to 5 and resize it for Instagram. I just resize for Instagram and we're good. So I'm trying to put my subject in the center of the frame, and I just click. So we have our model in the center of the frame right now. So what I want to do now is try and fix the background. That's the next thing I'm trying to do here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to use blur to fix the background. So what I'll do is I'll extract my subject from the background. Then I'll create a new layer, a duplicate layer of that layer. Then go to the object selection tool and just click on select my subject. So it will actually do the work automatically, because there's this AI in Adobe Photoshop which are more efficient than you wasting your time doing the cropping yourself. Selection ready. We have our selection ready, and what I'm trying to do now is to extract the subject from the background. So what I'll do is I'll fix the selection to make sure that there is no mistake anywhere. Okay, so I'll just I'll right click and feather the selection a little bit, maybe around 3 should be fine. Then press OK. Then I'll create a mask for the layer. So that way we've extracted our subject from the background. And the main reason why I'm using a mask is because you can later go back and do a little bit of tweakings on the mask. So what I'll do next is come to this place, then I'll fill in my subject here so that we have only the background under the subject. So I'll go to my lasso tool and just create a selection around my So Photoshop has done its own part and has done the work perfectly. So I just press Ctrl D to deselect the selection. Good. So now what I want to do now is to blur the background just a little bit. But before I do that, I want to remove these lines, these wrinkles. So all I'll just do is use this tool, the patch tool, and just create a selection, then just drag, create a selection, then drag, video selection, then drag, video selection and sample around, video selection, then drag. So we are good to go. Now I'll just go to my blur. I'll deselect this, then filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just blur it a little bit. And you can zoom in to see how it looks like. This looks somehow like it's too much, so you can just do it minimal, not too much. Let's blur it. It could go really far, but if you do that, you start to have issues with the edges. So let's just do it a little bit. Although we can resize later. Maybe around 38 should be fine, I guess. 38 should be fine. 38 should be fine. So I'll just press OK. Before, after, before, after, before, after. So I hope you guys are learning one or two things. And if you look at the edges of the selection from the AI in Photoshop, it's actually refined the edges. So that is one sweet thing about using Photoshop, especially updated versions. Looking at this place, it's like we have some issues here. Let me see if I could fix that. I just fill black and take my 100. Just do that. Bring back. Right click. Okay, I think that's the way the place looks. So let me just go to history and just take it back to reality here. Right. Okay, this is good. Now, so that we don't have too much sharp edge in our selection, we go to our mask here and pick the blur tool and blur the mask. That way, the edges are not too sharp. They're just subtle and not too much. You just paint around the edges and just soften the edges of the selection. So since we are done with blurring the background or fixing the background, any way you guys call it, then I'll just create a new stamp layer again on top of that layer. Now we can do frequency separation to retouch the skin better. Now this time I'm going to use the advanced frequency separation. Actually you can use the basic one too. So let's just go with the basic. The difference between the advanced frequency separation and the basic is that when you're working with the advanced, if you have any issues, you don't have to go back. All you have to do is just remove the layer and copy it again and clip it back and continue from where you stopped. But right now, I don't think we have time for that, so we just go straight to the basic and play the basic front separation action, and I'll go with 12 and okay. So I'll go to the low, pick the mixer brush tool. Don't forget, wet, load, mix, flow, 30%. And don't forget, you have to click on this, because when you click, you have to unclick this, because when you don't unclick it, you start to see that instead of your mixer brush to be mixing the colors in your image, you start to put colors there, but mixing the colors. But when you off it here, you start to, now you move the colors in the image. You don't have any other color introduced to the image. So I'll start to mix it. Now the concept behind I'll just fasten this place up so that I won't bore you guys out. So we have before, We have before, after, before, after, before, after. So we've used frequency separation to fix some of the errors that we could not fix with the macro dodge and burn. Okay, so we're done with that. Done with frequency separation. Now the next thing I want to do, I'm going to create a new stamp layer on top of that layer. The next thing I want to do now is maybe to resize it again so that we can remove all these colors, these color fringes that we have in the edges. Working with a dark skin tone, or generally, it's not even about dark skin tone, it's generally, you have to fix the colors because the colors might not like kind of like rhyme. So you have to like fix the colors a little bit so that you can have a better color blending. So what I'll do now is I use gradient map, and I have my own gradient map here, like a gradient map that I created for my own dark skin tones. And what I'll do now is just go to the gradient map, then click on it. I'm going to put the gradient map in the description below so that you guys can download it and use it. Now you can actually use this to create different style for your, for your retouching, and then just use it for some kind of like creative stuff. And but right now I want to use it for coloring first. You can actually put it as a overlay here, soft light, then just maybe reduce the opacity a little bit and see how it looks like in your image. Now if you actually drop it, this looks nice, but I'm not doing that right now. I'm just going to change the blending mode to color because we want the gradient map to affect only the colors, not the saturation, not the brightness, not the dark or the midtones. Understand? It's going to affect only the colors. So I'll change the blending mode to color and fill the mask with black. You should just press Ctrl I to invert the mask. Then I'll increase my opacity, reduce my opacity to like 30. That should fix it to like 30. Then press OK. Then I'll start painting on the skin with the brush. Put your flow in 100, your opacity on 100, and start painting on the skin. Now to see it better, you can just press the /2 to see the mask so that you can see what you're painting on. And you're done. So about that. So this is the before, this is the after. Before, after, before, after. Now I actually created this particular gradient map for the dark skin tone, so I don't have issues if it's changing the color of the other areas. So as long as I have a smooth variated color here, everything looks very uniform here now. Really uniform. I can actually reduce the opacity a little bit if I feel like I want to reduce it. Maybe around 25 or 24 should be fine. Before, after. So that's good. So the next thing I do is color balancing here. I use color balance to color grade too. So the next thing I do is I go to color balance. Now color balance has different steps inside. You can work with the midtones, you can work with the highlights, and you can work with the shadows. So I'm going to work with the highlights here now. So I decide the colors I want to put in my highlights. Maybe I'm going to put a little bit of yellow, a little bit of yellow, then add a little bit of magenta and a little bit of red. A little bit of red, we do this, we do this. Sorry about that. A little bit of red, just a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. That should do. Okay, so I'm going to create a luminosity mask by going to image, clicking on the mask. Don't forget, click on the mask, then go to image, apply image, then leave the blending mode in multiply, then pick the layer 3 is the layer, and press OK. Then what I'll do now is go to color balance again. Now this time I want to work with the midtones, so I can decide the colors I want to put in the midtones. I'm going to bring it back to a little bit of melanin, so I'll add a little bit of red, because I'm still going to draw it back to the melanin side. Maybe a little bit of red, a little bit of magenta, a little bit of magenta. You can just reduce the yellow. Good. So instead of me creating a new mask, now all I have to do is just draw this mask up here, copy it, press Alt, then drag up, then release, then press yes, then click on the mask and press Ctrl I to invert the mask. So this time it affects only the skin tones and not the highlights. So I'm going to create a new color balance layer again, this time the shadows. Now I want this to have a blue cast, so I'll give it a little bit of blue in the shadows. Blue in the shadows, yes, a little blue, just a little bit of blue, touch of blue, and maybe a little bit of magenta, maybe around -1 should be fine. -1 should be fine. -1. Yeah, so I'll just drag this mask up here, and I'm going to group it just to have a clean tab. Now the next step is my selective color. I go to my selective color. Now I'll touch each color. Now basically we have blue, magenta, and red here. So I can actually go to camera raw and color grade it if I feel like, but I can use selective color too. So I'll just use selective color and maybe bring down, so I can have a little bit of like this orange feel. Take the red down here. Maybe reduce a little of the magenta. Then add it to the yellow. Add it to the yellow. Yeah, this is cool. I like what I'm seeing. This is cool. So I'm still bringing this down. So this is nice. So what I'll do next is go to my yellow and drag it, pull it to the orange side so I can actually have a uniform color. Take it to the orange side too. Maybe add it to the magenta. If there's no magenta in my yellow, so I add it to the magenta, but reduce the yellow a little bit, so that gives us a uniform color before, after, before, after. Then here we don't have any green, I guess, but even if we have green here, we don't have to work with it. We don't have any green here, so we just go to our blue, and work on our blue. Now I want to give this kind of a teal and orange feel, so I'll just go to the teal side and just drag it up here. Okay, selective color is telling us that it's not in the blues, it's in the cyan, so I'll just go to, I'll drag this up a little bit, and then bring it down a little bit, then go to the blues, to the magenta. Let's drag the magenta. Now if you look at this area, you notice what this area, you see the mistake I'm making is like I'm already overdoing the stuff, and I'll just do it a little bit, not too much. Yeah, I feel like that's too much. I'll just take down the magenta a little bit, just a little bit. The blues. So I'm trying to create like, yeah, no, that's too much. I'll just take it down a little bit, giving it a teal feel, and take this up totally and bring this down, or just take it. Yeah, you have the perfect here. That's the perfect spot here. Yeah, that's the perfect spot here. So I'm going to go to my white and maybe add a little bit of yellow or blue. But let's take it a little bit of yellow. So I'm bringing it down here, and that's good actually. And there's like we're doing details in our bright area. Then selective color again. Inside the selective color, we go to our neutrals. Maybe add a little bit of orange, or add a little of cyan. Cyan, I think we add like, let's add like 5 cyan here, and let's take it to the black. Now this affects the shadow, so I'll just take it down a little bit, give us this kind of blue cast, maybe a little bit of magenta, but maybe like 1 should be fine. 1 should be fine. Then take the blue down, 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 down. Now that's perfect. Yeah, so this is cool. So we have a very nice picture here. So now I'm done with selective color, and I want to give it this kind of like a melanin feel, like the skin tone. So the best way to do that, or the way I do mine, is adding. First of all, you can add black and white. You can actually do this different ways actually, and but I'm going to use the style, which is black and white. So what I'll just do is just go to this default and just go to the eye contrast blue filter. So it affects the skin the most. Then change the blending mode to multiply. Now basically if you look at it like this, it looks like it's amazing actually, it's amazing. You have this kind of melanin feel already. So I can just reduce the opacity a little bit. You can reduce the opacity a little bit, and around this area should be fine. And I can press Ctrl I and paint it only on the skin. If I want, I can paint it only on the skin. If I feel like I want it only on the skin. But I won't do that. All I'll do now is just do it generally. So I'll press Ctrl I here and just leave it like this. Maybe just reduce the opacity a little bit more. Yeah. So this is cool. This looks really, really nice. Really nice. Now to give it a nice look too, before the selected color here, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to create this kind of like a gradient from the face to the down part. So this gives us a nice variation, a nice gradient that looks really, really nice. So I'm going to use the gradient tool on a new layer, please. So yeah, we're going to put blue. I'm going to put blue. That shouldn't affect much. Blue, yeah, gradient mode. Now the main reason why I'm zooming this out is that when I want to draw the gradient, I can draw it from a far place, because the point where you start from is 0%. So from that point to the point where you stop is 100%. So if you move the line close to the subject, that means that the variations will not be that long. So it's going to be like very close to the subject, making the subject not much relevant again. So I'll just drag from the face downward and drop here. Then drag from the face and drop it down here. So that will give us a very nice image. So I can just reduce the opacity a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Then come to my black and white here. Then what I'll do now is I do love this. This is my own personal style. People that I teach, I teach them that this is what I do personally, is my own style. I go to my curves and I'm going to just go to my blues and add a little dark blue like this, little blue like this, then bring it down. Yeah, so before, after. This looks really, really nice. So I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit. Now, looking at this looks really, really nice. So what I want to do now, because I'm done with whatever is pertaining to color grading here now, I want to do dodging and burning. So I'm going to come in between. I'm going to just, the colors, I'll just pick them and group them and create. And now what I'm going to do now is dodge and burn. So I'll create a new curves layer, then duplicate the curves layer. I'm going to change the blending mode of this to multiply, then change this to screen. So I just press Ctrl I, then Control I to fill in the mask with black, then group it to have a smooth curve. Then in my screen, so I go to my screen and use it to dodge the bright areas. So now you should work, if you are a beginner, work with flow 1. That will be better and more functional. So I'll just work with flow 1 and just maybe just do this a little bit. Do that a little bit, and I'm going to go to the top of the nose. Yeah. All thanks to my makeup artist. She's a good makeup artist. I'm going to leave her Instagram handle in the description below so that you guys can check her out. If you guys love my videos, you guys can please subscribe and give it a thumbs up so that people from our far places too, apart from people here in Nigeria, can see the video and learn from it. Because subscribing these days don't really do much for us actually. But if you love it, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment in the description below, and I'm going to reply you guys. So I'm trying to burn right now. I'm doing this subtle, I'm not doing it too much. Just want to have my picture look good. Okay, so these are dodging and burning before, after. Now when I dodge and burn, I notice that there's this kind of like, I don't have this kind of smoothness between the dodging and the burning. So there's a way I fix that, which is that I create a new stamp layer. I'll just delete this frequency separation and create a new frequency separation layer. Okay, no, not there. Let's go back, not there. New frequency separation layer. Maybe let's give it around 12 should be fine. So what I'll do now is sorry about that. Oh, we still have frequency separation rate, so I'll just, sorry about that, I'm very sorry guys. Just go to my history and just fix this once and for all. Alright. Vision blur. Yeah, okay. Right. Maybe. Alright, so let's go to the stamp visible. So I'll just delete this. Yeah, I deleted that. If we don't have any left. So let's create the frequency solution again. Let's play it. So that should do. Alright, so we're done. So what I'm trying to do now is to fix the variation between the highlights and the midtones and the shadows. So I'll just zoom it in, then create a selection with the lasso tool, and around here just pick like this, then I'll feather it. Give it like that. 22 is okay. Then I'll just blur that area. you guys will see the miracle that this does actually. It's going to fix that area, and you're going to have a very smooth version there. Maybe around 30 should do. Yeah, 30 is fine. And Control D. Then you pick here to that 50 should be fine. So just press Control F and just play the last filter that we did and play it on it. That should look nice on it. So let's pick here to, okay, I'm going to use the minus and remove it from this area. The feather is okay. Now 11 should work here, and go to our blue and try and fix this ourselves manually. Don't want to do that. I think 23 should be fine. 29 isn't too much, I guess. But let's take that around 23. No, let's take that around 25. 27 should be fine. Around 27, then okay. Then Control deselect. So that should fix it. Now let's go to this place too, and let's fix that too. Now this we should use around feather 23. Then Gaussian blur. And around 30 should do. 30 does not work, you can just increase the width and see. 31 is okay, I guess. Then Control D and create another selection here. No, I don't think that is perfect. You can't be perfect, you can just try to be perfect. So feather it. And just press Control F to just do the last filter, and we're good. So that should give us a better smooth version of before, after, before. This is after, before, after. So we have a better version right now, and this looks far better. Now I'm done with everything, and the last thing I do to my images is to put levels. Now when you're doing this, you want to press Alt, because when you're doing it, you don't know if some areas are too bright or some areas are too dark, you get. So what you want to do is just you press Alt, then you drag. Now if you start seeing this, then that means you're losing details in those areas. So I'll just drag it to the point where I see that it's like starting to bring out the details a little bit, and I stop at that point. Now I'll drag this into this. It's telling us that we actually had enough, so maybe let's just put around 1 should be fine, not too much. Then before, after, before, after. That is actually cool. I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but I'm feeling it. This is cool. So this is the final image, and this is what we actually stopped at, and this is the before. So this is where we started from, and this is where we are now. So like, you can just go to the last layer here and press Alt and click on it. Before, 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 after, before, after. So this is the final image, and I hope you guys learned a lot. Now if you guys love this, give it a thumbs up, share the link on your pages, let people see this video so that they too can learn from this video. I'll be dropping a video very soon on so many things. You guys want to check it out actually, and if you guys don't click on the notification bar, you guys will not see what I'm about to drop or what I am planning to drop. So you guys should try and click on the notification bar and subscribe, like and comment. Thank you guys. Peace.